Welcome to a special edition of the BumbleKast. I'm your host, Ian Flynn, the Bumble King, and joining me as always is my Bumble co-host, Kyle, JCRB Krause.
Whoa! We got a returning guest this week, and they have come loaded with questions. Just a ton of them.
How novel for this show.
I know, right?
Please welcome back to the show one of our most generous of patrons, and maybe our most returning guest so far? I'd have to check.
Yeah.
Anyway, please welcome PedantiCat.
Salutation, fellows.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Glad to be here again. I'm excited for it.
Yes, you should be. Hopefully. Maybe your questions will get answered satisfactorily. If you're
Maybe they will. I have tons of Sonic Frontier questions. Just kidding.
I mean, you probably do, but keep those in your back pocket for now.
Well, I can answer them all right now. I can't answer any of them. There you go. Thanks for joining us. This has been a special edition of the BumbleKast. Join us next week when
Ian is kidnapped by the Sega ninjas. Actually, no, it's probably Sega Yakuza, because, Yakuza, Sega, whatever. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, another question, Palooza. I have enough questions that it'd probably take you guys 2 or 3 years to answer them all, so I figure I'd send them to you now.
I mean, hey, if you're going to find a way to jump to the absolute head of the line, way to game the system, dude.
This is the way to do it, yep.
So go for it.
Okay, well, starting off. So, Ian, you've talked a few times about how you would love to pitch Cosmo and the Meta-X in IDW Sonic, but are there any other aspects from Sonic X you'd like to incorporate in a comic? So the X-Tornado, robots from the E-Series made for the anime, Sonic having the hover shoes Chris made for him in Season 3, etc.?
Not really, no. I mean, as much as I enjoyed Bokun, I don't know if I didn't think he really fit Sonic in general. Because what even was he? Just this weird little gremlin. And I'll take Orbot and Cubot over Boko and Deco any day. I mean, no offense to those guys, they were fine, but I feel like Orbot and Cubot are more interesting in design and just more fun as a dynamic. But nah, there's not really a lot of Sonic X that I would like to port over myself.
Not even your favorite thing, Dark Sonic?
Well, exceptions can be made.
Okay, so moving on. So, Ian, one of my favorite Sonic Universe arcs is Tails' Adventure arc, with you hammering in how Tails is a very capable hero, which I adore. Mind just rambling about the arc? So what made you want to adapt the game, how you went about writing the story, and future plans to explore Tails and Speedy rivalry with each other?
I really, really like Tails' Adventure. It's just a really solid game. It still holds up, truth be told. And I really dig the idea of the Battlebird Armada as villains. I wish we could see more of them, because I feel like there's a lot of fertile ground. You've got, a nice slew of mooks for you to beat up. You've got some big out there villains with the Grand Battle Cuckoo and Speedy and Dr. Prokurikov. So you've got an extended cast to play with, and they're all decidedly evil, or at least interesting in their dynamic, so that you want to see them come back and try to take over the world time and again. And they all kind of play to Tails' strengths, which is his flights and his smarts. And they are a mechanized flying battalion, so they're like custom built for him to take on. It's all just right there. Do something with it. So I wanted to get to that story in some shape or form for a long time. And with that particular arc, I don't know, I feel like that one came together particularly well out of a lot of stuff. And it was also nice to have Bunny and Antoine do their thing and be available as supporting cast, but I feel like they kind of they're very easily overshadowed. Like, they're very strong supporting characters, but with such a large ensemble cast, they don't always get time to shine. So being able to see them as a couple and be fun as a couple, and then when trouble arises be the heroes that we know them to be was also a lot of fun. And how they tackle the adversity in their own specific ways. Antoine feigning his fall from the the battle fortress.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something that Sonic would do. That's not something Sally would do. That's not something Bunny would do, and it's not something Rotor would do. That's a really Antoine thing to do. And it allowed him to be clever and successful, but also, still kind of the comedy relief character, which I kind of feel like was lost in the attempts to get him less obnoxious from his Sad AM basis. And then Bunny, who is our powerhouse, who is the one you usually call in to knock down walls, gets a chance to be clever by playing on the whole, they think she's been, what was the term at that point? Cyberized? Regionalized? Yeah. To tackle the problem in a intellectual way rather than her usual melee way was just I don't know, it was fun to play with the characters in somewhat different circumstances. To explore the cast in different ways than we normally do, and to just really see what the Battlebird Armada is. There's one panel in particular that I absolutely adore that Chasey drew, where the Battlebirds see Tails fly for the first time. And they freak out because how is he flying? He's not a bird. He's flying with his tails. That's not natural. This goes against our entire worldview. And with concerning Speedy and Tails, it would be kind of like almost an inverse of the Sonic and Tails dynamic, where Sonic by default believed in Tails and was the one to encourage him to believe in himself and to grow and to flourish. Whereas Speedy comes into the relationship looking down his beak at Tails and not believing in him and not believing in his ability, and Tails coming to prove it through all of his experience and ability, and Speedy coming around to respect Tails as an adversary. He's not going to be his friend. He stands against him in his world conquest thing, but it's someone that he can go toe to toe with, and he doesn't get a lot of that in his life. He is such an ace flyer. To have someone who can keep him on his toes is novel for him, and it kind of engages him. He likes the challenge.
Nice. Yeah, again, I just adore that arc for pretty much everything you just listed, like the rivalry, Antron and Bunny. I especially love that joke you sneaked in with Antron saying, he thinks we'll be bored.
It's a tropical island full of all sorts of interesting things. What are you talking about?
Although I am curious though, why did you decide to have the Battleboard Armada be aligned with Eggman instead of being their own thing?
I feel like at the time, I can't remember if this was a Sega thing or if this was an editorial thing, but there was some kind of directive that they needed to be linked with Eggman for reasons. Like Eggman had to be the big bad and they had to be associated with him. I can't remember the rationale at the time.
I gotcha. Yeah, which is a shame because I know one of the things I enjoyed about Archie Sonic was that Eggman wasn't the sole main big bad. You had Mammoth Mogul and you had Ixis Nugget, and you had these three villains all trying to take over the world. And I feel like that's something lacking in the Sonic franchise. We just now gotten something like that within the games within the past decade with the Zeddy. But their whole deal is more about destroying the world than ruling it.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and one more thing. So I'm curious because there was a lot of jokes in the, whenever Speedy appeared and even fans made fun of it. For the Reboot universe, did you purposely ditch the whole diaper for Speedy because of all the jokes about it?
We weren't fond of the design to begin with, but we thought we were being authentic with it. And it was also to help differentiate it because the designs weren't going to change that much since they're Sega characters. So giving him a slightly different look in the reboot would help distinguish that this is this era of the book. It's not associated with the other one. There's no potential legal snags. This is this speedy. We're in our own little bubble here.
Gotcha. Okay, next question. So, Ian, given Sonic's infinity to steal, borrow aspects from Dragon Ball, how do you think the Sonic cast would react to reading/watching Dragon Ball and seeing several similarities between that series and their own world/lives? So several mystic objects that split apart after they're done being used, a golden transformation, how like Goku, a good chunk of Sonic's current friends were once his former enemies, the Glitch Trio getting a major sense of deja vu with the Android saga, etc.
I don't know if Sonic would have the patience to watch Dragon Ball.
He'd need to watch abridged.
Yeah.
And even then,
even with the Thai version, it would drag a bit too long for him.
And even then, he'd have to watch it at 2x speed.
Yeah. I don't know if they'd be particularly taken aback by it. They would just kind of see the similarities and go, huh, I wonder if that's a common sentiment beyond our world. I could potentially see Surge bugging Starline over the Android thing going, so you didn't come up with this on your own, huh? You're grabbing other people's ideas? Way to go, genius. And then Starline would set out to kill Akira Toriyama and erase Dragon Ball from the world just to save his pride.
Of course.
Yeah. Silver see Trunks and like, man, I need a soda.
Well, it's more Silver's thing.
Mm-hmm. Although that does make me so like people. Okay, so people always ask you who win between Sonic and Goku, but to make the fight a bit more fair, how do you think a fight between modern Sonic and let's say Goku before the same saga would play out? So like for the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament, how would that fight play out?
That might be an actual interesting thing to watch, because they would be, how is Goku's speed at that point? Still pretty high up there. He doesn't have the instant transmission, so he's not going to, cheese his way with teleportation. Yeah, I suppose that'd be fairly comparable. Between the key attacks and raw power, I think he might still potentially outclass Sonic, especially at range. But that might, if they just stick to like physical attacks, that might be a fairly even fight right there.
Yeah, I can see it. Like, I really, like, as much as I do love how crazy things get later on, I kind of miss the simplicity of early Dragon Ball back when they weren't universes and aliens and all of that. Like, Dragon Ball used to be grounded. I mean, sure, there were dinosaur and animal people and demons all around, but it was at least more tame.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the stakes in just the Saiyan invasion, and it's like, oh no, the characters are dying, and there's no Dragon Balls to bring them back. The 3 characters are dying. We lost a city to Nappa, and maybe 1 military contingent. We're not worried about Frieza, who is nuking planets on a sliding time scale of 5 minutes. Never mind.
Erasing entire universes.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I really liked the Broly movie, the newest one, because as ludicrously powerful as Broly is, it felt more like part of the character and it felt more grounded, as you said. Like, these were individuals clashing with their particular strengths rather than like original Broly, who wipes out galaxies with a temper tantrum and is just like a walking meat shield with lasers. Never mind Broly that came after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he didn't hate Goku just because he cried a lot.
That's what I love, that little wink to the camera joke at the end of the new Broly movie where they ask him his name. He says, "My name's Goku, but you can call me Kakarot." It's like, oh my God, beautiful execution. I freaking love it.
Yeah, that was great. And I'm really excited for Dragon Ball Superhero. Seem like they're going to give Gohan his time in the spotlight. hoping Goku doesn't swoop in and save the day and steal his Dundo.
Well, see, I am hopeful because the last one was very much built around fathers and sons. Bardock sending Goku away, King Vegeta and his pride towards Vegeta that led to Bardock, Paragus's abuse of Broly and how that led to present events, and then hilariously you don't see Gohan or Trunks or Goten. So, all right, but they kept focus on one generational move. Okay, fine, sure. So I'm hoping that with this one, we're going to the next generational move with Gohan and Pan and, Piccolo basically being granddad to Pan, which, I hope they play with that. I want to see so much of granddad Piccolo.
Yeah, so, man, I really feel bad for Goten. He never really got his moment in the spotlight. Like, the most memorable thing about him is that he makes up one half of Gotenks. There's not much going for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's because, I'm no, deep lore expert, but he's kind of a retread of young Goku. When you get down to it, never mind the design, but he's just the kind of simple and comedic bent, but he doesn't really have the focus or the drive, I guess. And like you said, he's kind of there to be the second half of Gotenks. Yeah. So
which is
he needs a little something.
Which is a shame because they're all mom. Like, he seemed to be like a blend between Goku and Gohan, in which he actually does like fighting. He wants to spend time training with his dad, but he also doesn't mind studying. Like, I just wish they did more with him.
Yeah, but the size of the cast, and you can't really get away from the moneymakers. So, I don't know. Maybe that'll be movie 3. Trunks and Goten get to do something.
Okay. Though, moving back to questions about the Blue Blow himself, given how the Sonic movie universe has made it in which Tom and Maddie have adopted Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, do you think there are similar types of families existing in the world of Sonic? So humans that have adopted Morbian children or Morbian parents that have adopted human children? And is that something you'd ever be interested in exploring in the comic or simply seeing more of in the franchise?
I had not considered that. And this is a excellent example of how to question a general concept without pitching a fan idea. So good on you on your wording. That could, generally speaking, I'm sure that exists in Sonic's world. It just stands to reason. They all coexist, so why not? And it would be really funny to see two very diminutive Mobians with their basketball player, full-sized human adopted kid. That cracks me up. That's a funny mental image. Whether or not we'll get to see that, I don't know, because we're still not going to be seeing humans in the comic in the foreseeable future. But I wouldn't say that idea is off the table.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I do know, I find it really refreshing to see, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles have these parental figures, since it's not something you really see within the franchise a lot. Heck, as a kid growing up watching Sonic X on Saturday morning, I always found myself asking, where the heck are all of these characters' parents? Or how when I learned Knuckles is the last echidna, wait, so he's the last echidna, but I can't find anything about his parents. Who exactly taught him all this stuff about being guardian of the Master Emerald?
Yeah, who taught him to speak? Who gave him clothes? Who put him out there? Who told him, this is your job, kiddo? Sit on the rock?
He just popped into existence as a 15-year-old and already knew everything that he needed to do. That's totally how it worked.
Ah, yes, of course.
Uh-huh.
So, this actually leads me to my next question. When it comes to the Sonic franchise, characters having parents, biological or surrogate, are pretty rare outside of the game, with Vanilla being the only official parent within the Sonic game canon. While I don't think that every single one of them need to have parents, I do feel like something is lost by not exploring the familial aspect with a lot of the characters, both on a character level and knowing more about their past. How do you feel about the cast not having parents?
I'm okay with it because it's not really necessary for the core of the story. The whole thing about them being primarily adolescent is largely not applicable anyway. They don't act their ages, and there doesn't seem to be any restriction on what age can do what in their universe. Like, you don't see anybody bringing up driver's license or voting age or whatever. It's just, they're young because that's cool, and they go on crazy adventures, and they don't need to be tied down to one place. We did get some wholesome moments with Sonic and his folks in pre-reboot Archie. I'm not going to say we didn't, but if he's out and about doing his adventure thing, there's always that lingering question of, when was the last time he called his mother? Did he remember Mother's Day? Did he remember Father's Day? Has he visited them lately? How are his parents doing? And in a series about the cartoon animals fighting the Fat Man and his robots, who cares about the parents?
That's fair though. I do know one thing I've enjoyed seeing a lot more of in recent fantasy cartoons is when the parents get roped into their kids' crazy magical adventure, because you typically don't see that. Like, even then, typically either the parents are completely oblivious to their kids' adventure or they don't find out till the end of the show. But I've kind of liked the fact that we've been seeing the parents actually go on the adventures with their kids.
Oh, sure. And like with Sonic, if the parents were involved in the adventure to a degree as well, then they aren't an anchor. They aren't weighing down the main characters. Like, personally, I would love to see the old manga version of Polly and Brenda come back and have them be adventurers too. That's where Sonic got his wanderlust. And, every now and again, they just happen to cross paths and was like, oh, hey, how you been? Pretty good. I fought a giant water dragon. Oh, cool. How'd that go? I kicked its butt. Attaboy. Well, see you around. Bye. And they just go running off in different directions. Like, have them be, the inspiration for Sonic Speed, and that they have the faith in him to do that, to go out and do, so that they are empowering that distance rather than raising the question of why is there distance. I think some characters beg the question more than others. Like, Blaze is the Imperial Princess, and it's said that her bloodline was protecting the Jeweled Scepter for generations. Okay, where is the Emperor and Empress? But what happened? Where are they? Is she not Empress herself because of an age thing, which is legitimate? Let's explore that. What happened to the royal bloodline?
Were one of them though? Like, was her mother or father the former guardian of the Soul Emerald?
Yeah. Did they have the fire powers too, or is that something special to her? As we mentioned earlier, Knuckles. How you get up on that rock? It's like a pretty limited population sample, thanks to Nicole. So, where does that come from?
And then you have like Charmy. Like, what did Vector and Espio just find this little kid on the street one day all alone and took him in?
Or I imagine they opened a window, he flew in and couldn't fly back out.
Yeah.
Okay, that was good though. So I guess that also leads me to so I guess, like, if you were given permission, those are like the characters you would want to create parents for. So Blaze, Knuckles.
Maybe. It's a question of what does it serve the character themselves, and what does it serve for the greater narrative, and what are the long-term repercussions of this? Like, if Blaze's parents are still around and they can look after things so that she's free to gallivant around on Sonic's world more often, cool. That explains why they aren't there for most of the story, and it frees her up from her duties so she isn't being a bad guardian. If we can explain where Knuckles' lineage is without it becoming cumbersome, cool. But as it stands, it's more of a trivia bit. It doesn't really drag his character down. The bigger issue with Knuckles is if he leaves the island, he's being a bad guardian. But if he's a good guardian, he never leaves the island and we don't get to see him much, unless it's yet another Master Emerald related story. So his issues are more in the present.
I gotta get rid of that island somehow. But this also then bring me to the IDW characters. So, have you thought about what the parents for characters such as Tangles, Whisper, and Starline would be like?
Not terribly, because it's the same thing. It's what purpose do they serve? What do they bring to the narrative other than more names, more designs, and more background fodder that we're never going to explore? You know, it's a tricky enough time finding ample time to explore the main game cast and then our relatively small amount of OCs and do them justice. So then adding on additional named characters just to, fill in the wiki entry. I mean, as a big time nerd, I would love to do that. I would love to fill in all the little details and all the background info. But is it necessary for what we're trying to do right now with the story? What does it do to enhance the narrative? What would we gain from learning Starline's parents at this point?
Not understandable. Again, the temptation is there, but there's other things that are more important. I get that.
I mean, I would love to go back 12 generations to the beginning of time for every character. Don't get me wrong. I would love to nerd out on that. But we've seen that kind of deep exploration, and we've seen the pitfalls that it brings with it. So, IDW Sonic is doing something different. So let's see where that goes for a while first.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, next up. So people always focus on the rivalry between Sonic and Eggman, but what do you think about the less talked about rivalry between Eggman and Tails? It's a fun one, between Tails being the only member among the cast who can rival Eggman in terms of intelligence, along with Eggman begrudgingly respecting Tails' intellect.
Yeah, I feel like Eggman's respect of Sonic stems from Sonic's indomitable spirit. The fact that he defies all odds and can be such a major force in his life that he is always having to deal with it. It's kind of earned, I guess, in that respect. Tails, on the other hand, I feel like is more of a, not mutual respect. It's more appreciative, I guess. He sees the potential in Tails and appreciates that intellectual equivalency and doesn't feel as threatened by it, I guess. It's a different kind of challenge to him. And I don't want to go so far as to say he sees a chance of like turning Tails to the dark side, because I think he's smart enough, or at least aware enough, to realize that ain't going to happen. But it's one thing to appreciate someone because he can beat you up. It's another thing to appreciate someone because they're on your level.
Game recognized game. Okay, so with how songs such as It Doesn't Matter, His World, and Night of the Wind each reflect a positive aspect of Sonic's character, such as his bravery, free-spirited nature, and heroism, how would you change those songs to reflect Soul's nature?
Oh, geez. I don't know if you can really change those songs, or I'd need the lyrics in front of me in like a day or two to go word by word and adjust it. I think Surge just needs her own theme, and it's all like super screamo punk metal. Although thematically it would make sense to have altered versions of Sonic's themes just to piss her off.
Yeah, that was my line of thinking when I came up with it. Like, I guess one of these, I don't know, for His World, you would change it to Whole World, and I guess it would still be about how awesome she is, only in a different way from Sonic. So next up, let's say Silver and Blaze memories from '06 or somehow were stored. How would you go about approaching that, and how do you think the characters would react to gaining back these memories?
I feel like that needs to have a whole story built around it. Why are the memories coming back? What is prompting the return of those memories? And use that to explain just how in the world it all makes sense. But where they are now, and I'm taking my cues from Colors DS on this one, they don't understand their connection or why they're in sync, but they appreciate it. They enjoy that comfort with each other, and they just kind of take it at face value. So learning the past and how they were separated, but that they managed to find each other again, would add a level of poignancy, but I don't think it would really change their dynamic that they have now.
Makes
Such
sense.
as it is.
I know for a long time because people kept on saying Sonic Rush took place before '06, and I was like, that can't be right because, like, how could the events of Rush lead into '06? Wouldn't it make more sense if '06 led into the events of Rush? But then I looked it up and, like, no, Sonic Rush took place between Sonic '06, so yeah, that raises so many questions.
Yeah, I would love to approach that, but I think that to make it make sense, you would just have to like retcon and say this is the official answer and just kind of smile and nod with it. And again, I feel like the amount of effort and brouhaha it would cause in the fandom isn't really particularly necessary. I think I want the answer myself, but at this point, I think we're better served just kind of picking up and moving forward.
That'd probably be for the best. Okay. So next up, okay, Ian, Sega tells you that they want an ongoing sitcom-style comic series of Tangle and Whisper being roommates with them having an apartment in Station Square. What wacky adventures do you have them go to? What jobs do they have to pay the bill? And how long does it take for them to assemble the Chowkia furniture they bought?
Now you're tempting to me write Seinfeld with Sonic characters. There'd be this entire episode devoted to the light bulb that burned out in the ceiling fan, and they can't find the step ladder, and the Wisps try to go up there, but they don't have hands, so they can't actually handle the light bulb, and some of them are getting caught in the fan and thrown about the room, and Tangle's trying to pile various bits of furniture to climb up it, and Whisper's getting increasingly impatient with all these hijinks, and it ends with everybody collapsed in a heap, and then Tangle just picks up the light bulb and reaches up with her tail and screws it in, which she should have done from the very beginning. Stuff like the Wisps get caught in the refrigerator, there's a very noisy neighbor, and Tangle has to stop Whisper from sniping them.
Whisper, put down the Whisper.
No. Big is a reoccurring neighbor who just comes in and sits on their couch, the entirety of the couch, and makes himself at home, and they have a real hard time telling him to leave because he's nice. He doesn't really offend. It's just he kind of invites himself in, and it's kind of awkward, and they were going to leave. The matinee is going to begin in like 20 minutes. We're leaving now, Big. Okay. We're locking the door on you, Big. Okay.
Tangle works at a coffee shop with is probably a bad idea.
Well, when she's in the zone, she's able to man multiple pots and serve up multiple orders at the same time. It's just when you get that one problem customer, it kind of tears her out of the frame, and she, falls apart, and she needs that moral support.
Yeah.
Zavok is the overbearing landlord.
Oh, man.
Whisper probably works at a library.
Whisper can't hold down a job. She can't actually interact with anyone, so she's terrible at customer service.
Yeah.
And when you get that one bad customer, she is not opposed to breaking their nose. So
breaking their nose or sending them through the wall with glue.
Well, she's not allowed to bring a weapon into work now, is she?
But she is the weapon.
Oh.
It would be, of course, you got to have an episode of Hydrocity versus Hydro City. Because, of course, you do.
Maybe, but I am so freaking tired of that debate at this point. We'll save that for season 2.
Yeah. I know.
Season 1 ends on the cliffhanger of Whisper proposing to Tangle.
Maybe. Something like that. I'm down.
Okay, another scenario time. Once again, the Solar Emeralds have teleported Blaze to Sonic World for some unknown reason, or at least it seems to be Sonic World at first before it's revealed that the Emeralds have instead taken her to the Boom universe. How does Blaze react to the Boom version of her friends and the ridiculousness of the Boom universe? And how would Blaze's dynamic with the BumbleKast play out?
She would not be a fan at first. They are much too loud, much too touchy, and much too zany for her. And the rules of the universe, being as they are just completely out of her serious mindset. Now, she would warm up to it eventually, because the Boom crew is adorable in their own problematic sort of way. But the minute that she realizes that Eggman is a man-child in a onesie, more or less, she's going to relax. She's going to realize, oh, there is zero peril in this universe. And these people are aggressively friendly, but they mean well. So I'll take care of whatever it is the Emerald sent me here to do, and then I'll go home, and it's going to be okay.
Yeah, does Sticks remind Blaze of Marine?
Oh, absolutely. She goes, oh, there's one of you in every universe.
Meanwhile, Marine at that moment, crikey, why do I feel like someone's bad-mouthing me?
Yeah.
Okay, so next up. So Ian, given how you love to utilize even the most minuscule bits of trivia and concepts for the licensed franchises you write for, did you ever consider or even have plans for a Mega Man story in which World gets her own power armor akin to Rock as seen in concept art along with the Mega Man Christmas special Wish Upon a Star?
It's something that Aaliyah and I discussed a bit, but it was never something that I really planned on. Because one of the things with Roll is she is the non-combatant, that she maintains the ideals that Rock holds so that he can become Mega Man and then always come home. So if she were to become a Mega Woman or, get armor of her own, what would she do with it so that she just wasn't Mega Man 2.0? And at the same time, what would she do with it that it wasn't just, oh, she's the girl, so she does the passive thing? It was a no-win situation. Either she's repeating everything that we've seen with Mega Man, or she's playing into a lot of unfortunate tropes. So we couldn't come up with like a really satisfactory answer. So it's like, hey, we're following the main storyline for a while. We got time to think on this and maybe figure it out later.
Okay, I suppose that is how What If version would work a bit better, since in that scenario, Roll would be suiting up, but Rock is still the stay-at-home helper robot.
Yeah, and in that scenario, it works just fine because they're both idealistically helper robots. Neither of them want to fight. But in that What If scenario, you toss the coin and it lands differently this time, and it's Roll who says, I'll do it. I'll help. And Rock is the one who stays around the lab. That scenario still works perfectly fine. But
it is really fun to just imagine how certain moments from that story would play out, such as like, I guess in this scenario, Blues would shoot Rock, and then we have the whole Roll versus Proto Man fight. Roll was a lot less trusting of Wily compared to Rock and Dr. Light, so that like same level of not trusting him would probably carry through.
Yeah, she would potentially be more proactive, but I don't think she would be any more what's the word I'm looking for?
Capable?
Violent than Rock. I think they would hit a lot of the same story beats. I feel like it would be through a slightly different lens.
That makes sense. Theoretically speaking, because of how similar they're built, if Wool was upgraded, she'd be just as skilled as Rock, right?
Yeah. I mean, they were both built to be children and helper bots. So, one weaponized upgrade will fit all, I would imagine.
Makes sense. Okay, next up. So, Ian, something I realized a while ago was that even though Jewel was introduced as Tangle's best friend in the Sonic 2019 annual, I've been confused as to what makes them best friends exactly, since their relationship hasn't been explored in depth very much. Like, the story tells us they're best friends because they grew up together, with Jules always making sure Tangle comes back in one piece. But that's about it, since not only are aspects of their past shrouded in mystery, but we also don't see the two being besties very much in the present. Mind shedding some light on what makes the two best friends?
Yeah, it's fair enough. I think part of it is Jewel admires Tangle's tenacity, her ability to just get up and do and go. She doesn't have that kind of courage or spontaneity, and she enjoys that aspect of Tangle because she's funny and she's vivacious and outgoing, and she kind of sort of lives vicariously through that. But at the same time, she worries, about the repercussions. She looks before Tangle leaps. And because she does care and look after Tangle and doesn't judge too harshly when she has to, fish Tangle out of the nearest lake, Tangle appreciates that she has someone who's got her back and enjoys going out with her and, helps her from not completely careening into that crevasse.
That's nice. I do wish, I definitely would love to see more of that, because it does feel kind of funny how at this point it kind of feels like Tangle's relationship with Whisper feels more deeper than her relationship with her best friend, just because her relationship with Whisper had been more in the spotlight.
That's true, but it's also because they were closer to main characters. So we were going to spend more time with them, and we kind of stumbled into them just having a fun dynamic. Whereas Jewel has always been meant to be a tertiary character. She wasn't meant to be in the spotlight or explored all that deeply. She was kind of there to serve a point. And she's kind of grown out of that role. So it might behoove us to take another pass at her.
Okay, makes sense. Though that actually brings me to another question. Any chance we could see Tangle's and Jules' childhood adventures together, or is that off limits given how Sega doesn't like depicting younger version of the cast, not counting classic?
Yeah, I don't foresee us exploring that anytime soon. They really don't like us dwelling on the passage of time.
Shame. That definitely could have been a fun story. Well, okay, so next up. So, Ian, I know you've written a lot of Tsunami moments, but do you have a particular favorite one you've written?
I maybe just because it's the most recent, but I would almost say all of issue 2 of IDW Sonic, because it shows their dynamic as trusting friends and adventurers. And then you have that brief moment where Sonic has his, glorious moment in the sun, and you see why Amy is just smitten with him. And it's more than just, it's the girl character that likes the boy character. It's, you understand where she's coming from, and you understand why their dynamic works because you've seen them in action. I feel like that issue shows why they work together without, them holding hands and going on a date or anything pedestrian. It's, look at the action characters in the action series getting along as friends and equals. And yeah, maybe there's a little something else there if you look hard enough,
Yeah, that
It's
was
not
a really
just, ooh, lovey-dovey for the sake of, we have to have a pairing.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a really cute moment. Like, I know for me, I think my favorite Sonami moment you wrote was in Sonic Universe 75, in which after he returned from the Genesis portal, Amy eagerly hugged Sonic before realizing that he stinks, with Sonic then teasing Amy about it since he thought that she always wanted to be by his side.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I definitely love the fact how in post reboot Sonic actually teased Amy a lot.
Well, it's so much of modern Sonic to a point was him recoiling from Amy, running from Amy, seeming disgusted or uncomfortable around her, and I don't like that. I mean,
Yeah.
even if you want to say, okay, he's not particularly interested in her, it really sets this negative connotation because Sonic is the hero. So his reaction to other characters is telling the audience this is how you should perceive them in a way. And it really painted Amy in a negative light. And this is Sonic. He taunts death right to its face. So why would he be squeamish around one of his friends? So that's why I tried to steer him a little more in the catty and teasing angle, because if he's meeting her part way, if it's a kind of a dance between the two of them, she has the advances and he rebuffs, but he's doing it in a playful way, then there's at least approaching a degree of parity, not parity, parity, equality, equalism between the two of them, rather than you girls are icky,
Yeah, makes sense. I actually really like that explanation. Like, that actually does lead me to my next question. Like, ignoring for a moment the never-ending debate on if Sonic has romantic feelings for Amy or not, what do you think Sonic likes about Amy? Because he does seem to enjoy spending time with her after all.
I think he appreciates her indomitable spirit. I mean, she can follow him anywhere in the world. Not as fast, clearly, but it doesn't matter what you put in her way. She will find a way to overcome it. And she is a very loving and supporting individual. She is this beacon of hope and positivity that is just kind of nice to be around. She's just a nice person.
That's sweet. That's sweet. Like, you really did. Like, I think you especially exemplified her niceness in the Shattered arc. Like, just her whole dynamic with Knuckles and how she was reassuring him of all his worries. Like, that was just a very sweet moment, and I loved their relationship in that arc.
Mm.
So you made so many Knuckles X Amy fans happy.
I don't know. I remember folks were kind of hitching to that wagon and boom. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of fun, but it could potentially work in modern as well.
Yeah. I actually just realized I missed one of my earlier questions. So moving on to this one. So Ian and Kyle, if you had to choose a world to live in, would you rather live in modern Sonic or classic Mega Man? Keep in mind, no matter which world you choose, you're going to have to deal with an evil mad scientist constantly trying to take over the world. So make sure to get home insurance covering evil scientist damages on the off chance one of their schemes ends up destroying your house.
I've been talking a while. Kyle, what do you think?
Classic Mega Man. Easy. Because Dr. Wily is nowhere near as bad as Dr. Eggman. Like, not even close. Like, sure, they got along for a bit, but I mean, even Wily has his limits, and Eggman is willing to cross all the lines. It's like, no, thank you. No, thank you. Wily just wanted to prove that he was better than Light. He doesn't want to enslave the entire human race necessarily.
Yeah.
Ideally. Usually. So, yeah, I'm going to have to go with classic Mega Man.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. That and you pinch your pennies and you could have your own robot master.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, how cool would it be to have someone who, helps you around the house, really enjoys their work, and you can chill out and be bros with them later.
all for a price.
Yeah, I mean, and because it's classic Mega Man, you never get into like the creepy, AI beyond human, that kind of stuff, because it's all just, very surface level, child friendly, morally fine stuff. Nobody abuses their robot masters. There's no question of, individuality or
sentience.
Yeah. It's just everyone is treated respectfully, and the robots enjoy their work, and they're fun to be around. And yeah, every now and again that crazy dude causes some trouble in a city. Maybe there's alien robots once in a blue moon, but otherwise it's idyllic.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's also Robo-Enza, so sometimes your robot gets.
Dr. Light fixed it, so okay,
it's a robo. You got to
spend a week where you're hiding in your closet from your bro who turned nasty, and then Light uploads the cure to everybody, and boom, he's like, "Oh, sorry, man, I don't know what got into me. It was Robo-Enza, but that's okay. Let's come to this place and play some video games." All right, cool,
exactly.
Due to it, not like Sonic World where some ancient deity is awakened every other month.
Yeah, yeah. No. I mean, sure, there was Ra Moon, but
Meanwhile, in the Sonic World, after someone moves out of Station Square to like one of the cities from Unleashed, okay, it took me a while, but I'm all settled in. Then the Shattered World crisis happened. They're like, oh, come on.
I mean, classic Mega Man, it's like, yeah, all right, so 1 week, the Robot Masters got kind of unpleasant to be around. That's unfortunate. Hey, you remember when those aliens gassed the entire planet and we were stuck, frozen in place, conscious as little slug monsters tried to eat us? Yeah, that was a bad time.
Yeah. I guess Mega Man World really is good, at least up until X.
Yeah, but you specified classic Mega Man. That's only a lifetime.
True.
I'm a squishy human. I'll be dead before all the X stuff comes out.
Okay. So next up, Ian, when you decided to have Sonic get Amnesia, how did you settle on a personality that he would display compared to how he normally is? Because he acts very gentlemanly and proper instead of being a laid-back, snarky dude.
Well, that's basically it. Like, the Eggman to Mr. Tinker transformation was they were both genius inventors, but Tinker was loving and open and generous. And so Sonic is still, a laid back and chill guy, but instead of being kind of in your face and a bit snarky and ready to go at the drop of a hat, he's just kind of there, man. He's cool. He's fine. He's going to enjoy his time here on the patio and stop and smell the roses and maybe stop and smell the roses again, because this patio is just nice, man. Is that a cloud? Neat.
Why does Sonic sound high?
He's high on life, man. Why are you rushing around? Just sit, relax. Oh, hey, roses. Better go stop and smell those.
Okay, so, if you had decided to keep Sonic having amnesia for a bit longer, how would you have played around with that along with his dynamic with the rest of the Sonic cast?
He would be, I guess, it would be notably passive, Sonic. Like everyone coming up and saying, all right, how are you feeling? Do you remember me? Let's get you back to your old self. And he would be just kind of rolling with it. Just, sorry, don't remember, but that's how it goes. I don't mean to disappoint. I'm sorry, but this is how I am right now. This is good. Oh, hey, is that a cloud? And then when, some kind of bad neck or threat rolls in, it's this knee-jerk reaction of just, bam, he blows it up without any effort. It's like, oh, hey, that was kind of violent. Did I do that? Was that a good thing? Everyone's cheering. All right, cool. I'm going to go sit down now.
Did I do that? Oh, wait, no, wrong.
No.
Wrong character, wrong
I
one.
can actually see Knuckles hating this version of Sonic because he missed the Sonic that he could actually butt heads with. This Sonic is no fun to argue with.
Yeah, at first it'd be like, oh, finally, a Sonic dialed back from 11 down to 0. Peace at last. But then it would just get on his nerves.
Okay, so it's implied that while he had amnesia, he ran into Marine, but we didn't get to see her because Sega didn't want like a new character to appear at the end of the arc. But given how he didn't know who he was, would Marine think that he just looks like Sonic instead of thinking he's actually Sonic?
No. The scene in mind was that she knew it was Sonic. It absolutely was Sonic. It is. She knows Sonic. She had a nice big adventure with him. She totally knows who it is. Why doesn't he remember? Oh, he has amnesia? Oh, this is going to be fun. I get to play with him now. I get to mess with him just a little bit. Nothing, heinous. Just she's a precocious little kid. She's going to prank him a little bit, and she's going to call him Mr. Needlemouse, and he runs with it, and that's just hilarious.
Gotcha. So, it's kind of shame then that we technically had an official off-screen reunion between Sonic and Marine because, like, at the end of Sonic Rush Adventure, Marine is like, I can't wait to see you and Tails again. And technically speaking, we've never gotten to see that reunion.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up. Okay, so because this is something that dawned on me a while ago, Tails is an inventor. But who does he invent stuff for? Does he invent things to make his own life easier? To study things that interest him? To help others? Like what? Does he repair people's laptops for them?
D, all of the above.
Okay, I can see that. Okay. Well, next up then. So a page I find myself rereading over and over from Imposter Syndrome is a panel from number 3 in which Sword states that she wants to burn the whole world down since if she and Kit can't have a past, they can't have a future. How did you come up with that bit of dialogue? And was it tied into what you always had planned for Sword and Kit's end goal?
I don't know, just sometimes a good line comes to me and it fits. But yeah, that was always part of the agenda. It was to establish who they are, who they aren't anymore, and their reactions to it. And why is it that they stay villainous from it?
Makes sense. So, and like I know Soldier and Kids are villains I've kind of wanted to see in Sonic for a long time. Characters who have suffered due to the ongoing battle between Sonic and Eggman, with them wanting to eliminate both of them. And after all, if it wasn't for those two, they probably still be having normal lives and Starline wouldn't be evil, etc., etc. So is this a type of villain you've been wanting to introduce in the Sonic comics for a while?
First, let's back up a second, because if there was no Eggman in the world, Starline would have latched onto somebody else, some other jerk in the world. There's always going to be negative influences in the world, let's say, and those who gravitate towards it. So Surge and Kit's Surge's mentality, Kit just kind of does whatever Surge wants. Surge's mentality is very simplified and self-serving. She's not wrong, but she's not really right. She's not accurate, I guess, which is the tragedy of her decisions. But when coming up with a new antagonistic force, it's, you look at what you have, and we have the very clear teams. You have Team Eggman, you have Team Sonic. You have the clear villains and the clear heroes. So what do you do to spice it up? What do you add to that mix that brings something new to the scenario? And having a third faction that is against either does that, but you have to see where it fits and how it doesn't overshadow one or the other, or doesn't become redundant to one or the other. We kind of had something like that with the what was the team name post Reboot in was it the Shamar Freedom Fighters?
Oh yeah, then oh yeah, that and like Nefertiti's in which he actually had that whole argument with Sonic telling him that like your war with the doctor have caused so much suffering, you should just give up. With Sonic countering, oh what? So I should just give up and let the evil guy, let the bad guy win?
Right. So, stepping back from the pure dichotomy of good and evil and, adding in the kind of gray and seeing just how well it stands up on its own.
Yeah, I do know that's another thing I loved about Archie Sonic, like the morally grayness, because like outside of the comic, you don't really see that in any of the games as far as I can think of.
I mean,
Like Molina from Black Knight is one example, I guess.
yeah, that's the only one I can really think of off the top of my head that's kind of like, you can make it, but everybody else is pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Okay, next up. So, okay, between Scourge and now Soulge, you seem to really enjoy writing dark reflections of Sonic. Why is that exactly?
Oh, that's just the basic trope of here's the hero. Okay, what if the hero was bad? We explore the hero in the context of his own adventure. Well, how do you contextualize that differently? Well, what if that hero was not a hero? Okay, what is that exploration? And there you go. That's not a Sonic thing. That's a writing 101 thing.
That's true. Though, it's fun. Like, so many people seem to love making evil versions of the hero, but you don't see a lot of people trying to do more stories of the heroic version of the villain.
Because villains are more fun. Let's be honest.
That's true.
I mean, they're a cathartic release. You enjoy them breaking the rules because you have to live with the rules yourself. And, it's comforting because the hero is still there. You still know that they're going to win the day. They're still going to be that moral compass that you can follow. But having the evil version is you get to have your cake and eat it too. You get to be a little bit naughty and then go back to what you're supposed to do. Although I would say that the whole Mr. Tinker fandom is kind of one of those rare examples where folks really latched onto the bad turned good thing.
Yeah, it really is surprising how popular that one was.
That, and it's kind of hard to think of too many villains turned hero where they didn't just get like defanged, where they become kind of bland because they no longer have that edge, that antagonism. I mean, there are examples, sure, but a lot of times it's like once they come around, it's kind of like, oh, well, you're here, I guess. I mean, going back to Dragon Ball, look at Piccolo. Start of the Saiyan saga, everyone is terrified when he shows up on Roshi's Island. It's freaking Piccolo. He's the son of the Demon King. He's like the antagonist to Goku. Oh no, it's Piccolo. We fear him. And when he's teaming up with Goku, oh, that's huge. The villain and the hero have to come together to fight this threat. Wow, this is incredible. And Piccolo's sticking around with the others to fight off Vegeta and Nappa. This is a big deal because here is the villain siding with the heroes. And if, oh my gosh, this incredible villain is the one getting stomped, these new villains must be so powerful. And then Piccolo gets gradually more and more good, fusing with Nail, fusing with Kami, and then he just kind of becomes a babysitter, and he's just there.
He still gets more relevance than most of the humans from the original cast.
I will grant you that, absolutely. But it kind of feels like he's still around out of obligation to a large degree. So I am hoping that with the new movie, if he's more involved mentoring Pan and with that new transformation he's getting, that he will have greater relevancy and that he will become a more common heroic character and become a little more interesting again. So here's hoping.
Okay. So, but next up, are there any Sonic characters you've been itching to write their own dark reflection for? We need to see the terror that would be Evil Cream.
Bold of you to assume she's not already evil.
You get ushered into a dark office All you hear is the loud ticking of a clock. The small bunny girl who barely fits from behind the table just glaring at you over her steepled fingers. Miss Cream, I promise I'll pay on time. You're 2 weeks late. No, I promise I'll make it happen. And you know what I will make happen? Cheese. Get him. And that's the last thing you hear.
That'd be great. Like, Evil Cream is the dread that makes modern, Boom, and movie Sonic team up with each other.
Instead of a Dark Lord, you would have a queen as beautiful and radiant as the dawn.
Though, along with the Queen, like, I think out of all the Sonic characters that would be fun to see an evil version of themselves, Blaze would probably be the most fun and easiest, given how she already started off cold initially. So, like, it wouldn't be too much of a stretch if in another life she never really developed and just became more cold, though.
Sure, if she expanded that reserved and strict mindset to the rest of the Soul Empire and the planet, and if she eliminates all potential threats in the multiverse, then there are no threats to the Soul Emeralds. She's proactively burning everything away so that everything is safe. That makes sense, right?
Of course.
Right?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, totally okay. Please don't set me on fire. Okay. So next up, Ian, how do you feel about Metal Sonic just being Eggman's Enforcer? I've learned that there are fans who hate the fact that after Heroes, Metal is regressed to just being Eggman's servant instead of being his own villain.
He's always been Eggman's servant. He's always been a weapon for Eggman.
Well, I mean, in Heroes, though, he did rebel against Eggman and kind of struck it out like he betrayed Eggman, took over the Empire, planned on being his own villain.
Yeah. And we did have some fun with that with the IDW, but with the IDW arc, he said, completing his sentence. But, I don't know. At that point, he's not really Metal Sonic anymore. Metal Sonic is this cold, calculating jet turbine with a vendetta. And Neo Metal Sonic is this grandiose Machiavellian plotter, schemer, and conqueror. They're virtually different characters. Never mind the wildly different designs. It's just completely different characterizations. I would argue that it would be better to have Neo Metal spin off into his own thing and, Metal Sonic remain Metal Sonic. But then you get a little bit of confusion over, the names. How many Metal Sonics can you have running around?
That's fair, though. Continuing on Metal Sonic, it occurred to me a while ago that Sonic Boom version of Metal Sonic is pretty much the same as his modern counterpart, despite Boom more goofy setting. If you were to retreat Metal to better fit the tone of Boom, what would you do exactly?
And that's a weird one. Like, he doesn't even fit in with the other robot designs of Boom, which are very, very clunky and layered. I don't know. I would think that a more Boom-styled Metal Sonic should have that clunkier, almost puppet-esque, or maybe marionette-esque design, and maybe play up on the whole wanting to be Sonic identity crisis, but play it for laughs. He acts like Sonic. Every now and again he's showing up at Medburger and hanging out with the gang. And they're like, you don't even have a mouth to eat that with. Sure I do. Watch. Smashes it straight into his face. And then you can have the action beats and the moments of sincerity where he actually confronts Sonic. And then has to go back home to Eggman dejected because, he got beat up by the Sonic who's totally more Sonic than he can Sonic right now. And Eggman's like, I'm so tired of hearing the word Sonic. Go to your room.
You can't tell me what to do. You're not my dad. I created you. I am your father.
I made you. I can unmake you.
God, I'm going to go stay with Mom Bot. She respects me at least.
Yeah, we've done it again. It's yet another Boom episode. Actually, several on this episode alone, but
Metal Sonic.
Get out of here. It's not like I like you anyway. The door slams and... Oh, Bot, was I too hard on him? It's so hard being a single dad these days.
Yes, play up the father-son dynamic in that AU. And like when Eggman initially revealed Metal Sonic to the gang, they're just like, did you really just make a robot version of me? Or like, hey, how come you didn't make robot version for the rest of us?
Yeah. They get all insulted.
Yeah.
They start putting on this impromptu talent show to prove that they're worthy of evil doppelgangers. You have Knuckles bench pressing all of Madburger. Hey, Eggman, look at what I could do. I bet I'd make a really cool robot, wouldn't I? Amy's offering him schematics. Okay, so I think that the hammer should go in this hand. Now, I'm ambidextrous. I can use it in either hand, but you don't want to have it too specific. Tails gets all indignant and starts building his own. Eggman's not going to build it. I'm going to build my own evil Tails. Maybe I've gone too far.
Maybe.
Would probably be happy that she doesn't have an evil robot doppelganger.
Oh, she's leafing through her book of conspiracy theories going, and check off that one, check off that one, check off that one.
Could just cover metal in sports tape and call that a redesign. It's a good one. Thank you, chat, for that one.
So, that actually does bring me to my next question. This one involving our favorite conspiracy nut, Bajo, Stick. So, given how an appealing part of her character is how she's a very paranoid person who believes in conspiracy theories and prepares for various apocalypses, if she were to be transplanted into the modern game setting, would she really be seen as crazy considering how all those things she's paranoid about tend to happen on a regular basis?
Well, no, it would just be the punchline. These outlandish, crazy events are something that she totally saw coming. So the Black Arms invade. Alien invaders totally called it. Absolutely called it. Why are they black? They're supposed to be green. All the evidence pointed they would be green. What? Okay, so there's going to be different aliens, guys. I'm telling you, any day now. Or, the world shatters open and Dark Gaia pops out and she's like, wait, no, that was supposed to be on the eclipse. You're ahead of schedule, mister. She storms Eggman's base. You blew up the planet early. Do you understand what you have done here? I blew up the planet? No. That's besides the point. You did it at the wrong time. Now nobody's going to understand what's going on. The planet's been blown up. I understand that, but you're getting off topic here. The point is, according to this...
Yeah, pretty much.
And somebody tries to explain Sonic Adventure to her, and she's going, wait, you're telling me there was a giant water monster that's actually a Chow locked inside the Master Emerald? Yes. Pull the other one.
Oh, gosh, this character. And continuing with Sticks, are there which characters do you think would be really fun to write interaction for either from the IDW cast or even from the Archie cast?
Oh, at some point, please, Gaia below and Chaos in the pool, let there be a Sticks and Silver team up, because he will buy everything she's selling. She will tell him of doomsday scenarios left, right, and center, and he will be on guard. He will follow her into the mouth of hell because she's totally convinced him that the sneakers of the world are being developed to take over your feet. He will not question it because she will say it was such conviction, and he's so used to coming back in time and saving the world. This needs to be. I want to see this happen. I could see Sally running out of patience with her very quickly because she is such a fact checker and logically minded. But then Styx just happens to come across a nugget of legitimate concern. And Sally's like, am I just kind of weakening my resolve here to humor this? Or does she actually have a lead on something? Do I follow up on this and end up encouraging her? Do I ignore it to the peril of everyone else? I don't know what to do here. Nicole, analyze, please.
Oh, and like I can only imagine how Styx would react to Nicole.
Oh my gosh, that poor Lynx got locked inside a computer. Who did this to you? How do I let you out? Maybe if I just tear open the casing. No.
No.
Okay, so next up. So Ian, let's say Proto-Man and Belle meet each other. How does that interaction go? Do the two drown their sorrows and eat things at a robot bar as they moan about their respective daddy issues, with Belle chewing out blues that, hey, at least your dad isn't a psychotic evil genius.
Who's saying that to who? Ba-da-bum-bum. There'd be a degree of commiseration, but I think Blues is still so fixated on his own perceived slights that he couldn't really come around, and there would be this degree of jealousy that that Belle's creator was a legitimately caring individual, and now he's gone. That's so tragic. And she's like, but your dad's right there. Go to him. No, there's too much between us now. No, there's not. He's right there. Mine has literally been erased and is trying to blow up the world right now. You go hug your dad. I don't wanna.
That sounds about right. That sounds like Proto-Man. Whiny little punk.
Belle start getting hiccups from drinking too many E-tanks.
So many E-tanks.
Put it on my tab. Okay. The next up, continuing on the Mega Man question, so Ian, in Mega Man 54, we got to witness Blues finally transition into becoming Proto-Man, with him declaring that name loud and proud to Dr. Lalundai and her family. It was an inspiring and awesome moment. But like, after he shattered his helmet, did he just teleport away without cleaning up after himself? Or did he awkwardly sweep up the mess he just made?
For all his angst, he is a good boy. He would have cleaned it up.
Okay, next up. So Mega Man issue 49 was a really big issue in which all of the Robot Masters from Mega Man 2 and 3 were together, with them being fully repaired and offered a chance to become industrial bots instead of just being weapons. Yet you have several of the Robot Masters, most notably Quickman, be against the idea, with them preferring to be shut down rather than being helper robots. How did you decide on which Robot Masters you were going to have reject this opportunity? And how come some of the other Wily robots were more open to the idea compared to the ones who would rather be shut down?
I'd have to check the list again, but some of it was because some of them are going to show up in the Robot Museum in 7?
Yeah, like Quickman.
Yeah, 7 is the one, yep.
And there were a few others that, for whatever reason, it made sense for them to be decommissioned because they would be showing up in some kind of revitalized way later on. It's been a long time since I did my Mega Man research, but I remember that was wise because it was to set up future game events.
Makes sense. Like, God, like, I really did love the the whole questioning their life purpose and stuff you did with the robot characters, because like, even though Rock thought he was doing something good, it didn't cross his mind that to some of the Robot Masters, like, they're basically saying they don't want to be changed. And when Quickman asked Rock, hey, did you like it when Wily reprogrammed you? He admits that he didn't like it, but then at the same time he's conflicted because he feels like they're wasting their lives.
Yep. There's a line out of Reboot that always comes back to me, that is like lives rent free in my head, where Megabyte's been captured, and I'm assuming you've seen Reboot.
Oh, now I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it.
Okay. Then here I am about to rattle off this scene with zero context, and it's like, oh yeah, you're 40. Okay. So real quick recap. Reboot was a very, very early CGI adventure comedy series that took place within the city of Mainframe, which was the actual mainframe of someone's personal computer. And it primarily followed the adventures of Bob, the Guardian, so a piece of anti-malware software, trying to protect that system primarily from Megabyte, who was the resident computer virus. And it was super goofy in the first few seasons, and then it took like a serious tonal shift partway through and got very dramatic and very 90s, and it was great. It's worth looking up. Some of it is aged pretty well. Some of it is not. But it was very ambitious for the time. But there was a point very late in the series, and it ends on this gigantic cliffhanger, like almost worse than Sat AM's cliffhanger. You know, I'm going to say it, worse than Sat AM's cliffhanger. Just, oh my God. Anyway, there's this bit where Megabyte has actually finally been captured, and he's talking to Bob, saying what's going to happen to him from now. And Bob says, you're not evil. It's just the nature of your coding. So we're going to reprogram you and reintegrate you into the system. And Megabyte goes, a fate worse than deletion. And that just locked into my brain. Like, Megabyte is a purely evil character. There's no two ways about it. But to have that level of pathos, to have that question of his identity is gone, that's even worse than just not existing. And it put Bob in this weird position where the guy who is the paragon of virtue here has to question whether or not what he is doing is the morally correct thing. And he wants to preserve a program. He wants to do something good so that it isn't a waste of life. But is it truly saving a life if you're completely changing it? It was a big concept for a kid show at the time, and it stuck with me, and it kind of found its way into Mega Man.
Yeah, that sounds very similar to what Quickman said to Wack, and he said to not be the real Quickman. Now that would be a waste.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, again, just fantastic issue. Loved it.
And that Megabyte was voiced by the late, great Tony J. So, like, everything he said was just amazing.
So, continuing off of that, so what were your plans for Shadow Man exactly, since he was still working for Wily? Was he going to be a star player when you got around to adapting Mega Man V due to the Star Droid's presence in that game?
Absolutely. I wanted him to be around. I wanted to explore him as a refurbished Kupier droid. I wanted to use him as a window into the Star Droids and their relationship with Ra Moon and all that jazz. It, like, Mega Man 1 through 4 Game Boy was so light and insubstantial. I think the plan was to kind of combine them all together, or just kind of like address them and move on. But 5? Mega Man 5 Game Boy? That was going to be an arc. That was going to be a big one. Oh, I was looking forward to that one as much as 4. And here we are.
Yeah, but yet another story why we never got to see. No, side note, since like the Robot Master that won't shut down were given industrial jobs, exactly what did Shadow Man do to keep up his appearance?
I don't remember if we had anything planned. Probably something hilarious, like working in some kind of really cheesy Japanese village reenactment theme park or something. Or maybe just a janitor, something completely out of theme. But
he does balloons at kids' birthday parties.
I want a giraffe. You're getting a shuriken.
Pirates are cooler than ninjas.
First law of robotics: can't harm humans.
Okay, next up. So, Xander becoming Mr. X, was that something always planned since his debut, or was that something that came as a result of Worlds Unite?
I kind of sort of both. There being a real Mr. X was always in the cards to explain where Wily got the means to do what he does in the later games. And then he would usurp Mr. X, take his identity. We'd get, what was it, Mega Man 6? Is that where the tournament was? And
yes.
And follow along from there. Xander overstayed his welcome, and as things kind of fell into place, it's like, okay, well, he's kind of already lost his purpose from his initial introduction, and he can fall into place here. Yeah, okay, let's make him the real Mr. X, and then we can kill him off, and I don't care.
So that's why he was so wildly prominent in Worlds Unite.
Well, no, he was prominent in Worlds Unite because Paul felt like we needed, then editor Paul Kaminsky, felt like we needed a human element to navigate all the crazy crossover stuff.
But a human? Wait, why would you need a human we didn't need a human element for. Well, I mean, what does human element even mean? That confuses me.
It's been a long time, so if I'm misquoting you, Paul, my apologies. I do not mean to throw you under the bus, buddy. But from what I remember, the idea was that the crossover was so big, with so many different moving parts in different franchises, he wanted a literal human character to be more accessible to brand new readers, people who are picking up the book just for hype, and that Xander, being this fish out of water in the scenario, would be kind of the vehicle to understand all of this stuff. Didn't agree with that myself, and that was one of the things that we kind of locked horns over, that I feel like ultimately shook up the foundation of it. There were other things that we kind of went back and forth on, but that's what I remember the thinking being at the time.
Yeah, that's certainly an interesting decision.
But ultimately, it played into him becoming Mr. X, so it worked out in the end.
I did at least like him initially, and it does make sense that within the world of Mega Man, especially after the first time Wily takes over the world with Robot, there would be an organization that would be afraid of robots and would take extreme measures to destroying them. So the Emerald Spears, I at least liked them when they was first utilized.
Yeah, but the Emerald Spears were a problem from the get-go, because the idea is they're anti-tech, but the only way for them to be a legitimate threat to Mega Man is to have high-tech stuff. And there really wasn't a great opportunity to explore the hypocrisy of that, and to make the organization large and interesting enough, you would have to have an extended cast, and that's already adding a bunch of characters to Mega Man, which cast balloons each game. So I feel like maybe there was an interesting core idea there, but ultimately, it didn't work that great.
To be fair, even in real life, a lot of extremist groups tend to be hypocrites. It's being evil tend to make you a hypocrite anyway.
I suppose.
Yeah. So speaking of Worlds Unite, since we didn't really get to see them interact, exactly what would Sonic dynamic with X be like, and Styx dynamic with Rock be like?
I think we kind of touched on that with Ryan Jampol's story, where Styx kind of goes after Roll, where she isn't particularly fond of with these robots that look like they're alive. That's how they infiltrate. That's how they take over. Oh, wait, they're actually nice people. Well, the threat is still there. I think Rock would eventually win her over because he is just so charming and such a good boy. But she would always be, kind of on edge. But that sticks for you. Sonic and X, I see getting along just fine, because Sonic is pretty chill with whoever, so long as they're not like a jerk or an overt threat. And I can imagine X appreciates the degree of Sonic, just wanting to chill out in between adventures. You don't have to be on all the time. You don't have to be constantly looking for conflict and violence. When there is time for peace, savor it.
Oh, nice. Gosh, I really wish we could have seen more of that in Worlds Unite. Like, it does so because with how good Worlds Collide, I was really excited for Worlds Unite, and I mean, it had its good moments, but okay. So let me see, how are we doing on time? Because I only have like 7-8 questions left.
We're coming up on the 2-hour mark, so maybe we can pop through those real quick.
Okay. There are not too many left. So let me see where they leave off. Okay, so for the Mega Man 3 adaptation, you did something new that I found to be cool by having it in which a good chunk of the arc was told from the Robot Master's point of view. How did you come up with that cool idea?
It was because we were very quickly falling into the rut of the Mega Man games, which is, here's 8 Robot Masters, you go hunt them down. And we'd done this twice already, and that was already starting to feel a bit of the strain. So the question was, how do you do the same story but slightly different? And the easiest answer is from another perspective. We've seen Mega Man triumph over impossible odds twice now, or at least in terms of the game adaptations. He's done a lot more in the book. So what is it from the perspective of those he's hunting down? How do the Robot Masters see the hero coming for them? What is it like to be the Goomba before Mario stomps your face? Flip the camera around and see where that takes you.
Nice. Yeah, I know. I think out of all of them, my favorite was probably Snake Man, in which he realized I was never the hunter, I was the hunted. In the same arc, like another one of my favorite moments from the series was the moment from Rock versus Doc fight, in which their final moment, you had all the Robot Masters talk to him, asking Rock to defeat Wily. Again, how did you come up with that amazing scene?
Again, just trying to look at what we had done before and how to approach it in a new way. You have Mega Man's triumph over all these individuals, and in the past it was just weapon data. What do you do that's a little different this time around, just to spice it up, just to give it a new spin?
Okay. That makes sense. Like, again, just like that's a moment I reread all the time. Like, please stop, idiot Wily, and Rock just making that promise to like save him, and all their brothers just really right in the feels. So from what I understand, the ending of Mega Man 10 has it in which before he escapes the hospital he was in, Wily chooses to leave behind the Robot Enza cure to heal all the remaining sick robots, with it being debated among fans if he did it out of gratitude of being saved. Given how by that point in the book, Wily would have done a bunch of messed up things along with putting Rock through the emotional ringer, how would you have approached the ending of that game within the comic adaptation?
I think the idea that he did it out of gratitude still sticks, because at this point we would have seen the moment where Rock literally system crashes because he's stuck in that loop of, I can't harm a human, but if I let Wily go, that will cause other humans harm. But I can't harm Wily because I can't hurt a human, but if I don't, it's going to leave others. And Wily will have seen that he came real close to pushing things too far. When Rock, of all robots, is ready to take the kill shot, or at least having trouble deciding not to, maybe he's pushed the envelope to the edge. And I think that would kind of linger in the back of his mind, that while he is still trying to achieve his own goals, there's always going to be that moment where maybe Thomas's little boy won't get stuck in that system loop again next time. So because Rock saved him, because he was shown mercy yet again, it's like, all right, mea culpa, here's your cure. I'll come back with something better next time.
Okay. And I guess that moment in tone would kind of like strengthen like resolve of believing that there still is good in Wily.
It would also be a matter of how we portrayed the Robo-Inza effects on the world. Like, maybe it goes further than Wily intended. Maybe he sees robots in pain and being damaged from its effects, and he loves robots. I said that really weird. He loves robots and robotics. There we go. So, having created something that does harm to them wouldn't sit well with him. So if Mega Man's going to save the day, he needs a way to do it. Here's the pill. Make it happen.
Okay, next up. Okay, Ian and Kyle, who would win in a fight? Gamma from Mega Man 3 or the Death Egg robot?
I mean, I guess you have to ask, which has more concussive force, the Buster or a Spin Dash? And given how many shots some standard enemies take from a Buster, whereas Sonic traditionally smashes all badniks with just a Spin Dash, one could argue that a Spin Dash has more concussive force. So how many shots does it take to take down Gamma versus how many hits does it take the Death Egg robot?
And then I suppose you gotta factor in special weapon, because like with a special weapon, like can't you typically kill any Mega Man robot with like one hit from any special weapon minus the bosses?
Well, at that point, then it's not even, you can't really make a comparison because Sonic doesn't have any kind of special weapon. I'm probably putting way too much mathematical thought into this.
You might be.
If we're trying to establish the base level structural integrity of Gamma versus the Death Egg robot, and the only way we can judge that is how quickly they're disassembled by the respective heroes, we have to first determine what is the equitable amount of force output by each hero and find that constant that we then can apply to those individual robots. And I'm going to say it's about even because I've used too many big words and I'm tired.
This seems like something
okay,
in
well,
a science lecture.
Here's what I figured out while you were stalling, Ian.
Yes, that's what we'll call it.
Okay. So from what I can tell is Gamma, because apparently you can beat any Robot Master in Mega Man 3 with 7 hits of their own weapon, except for Top Man. And I was thinking that was 7 hits from a special weapon on Gamma. So I guess I misunderstood that. But I know the Death Egg robot takes 12 hits, so I don't know if anyone's ever counted how many hits it takes to take down Gamma from the regular Mega Buster. Probably a lot.
Hold on, I'm going to see. He has 28 hit points, 14 for each part, and so really he only takes 28 shots from a regular Buster?
Maybe. Gamma is weak to his head is weak to Hard Knuckle.
Well, we're not looking at the special weapons because then we have no basis for comparison.
All right.
I don't know if it takes 28 Buster shots and 12 Spin Dashes, and we're going to assume that a Spin Dash does maybe roughly double the damage of a Buster shot. Then they're about comparable in structural integrity, and they're both melee fighters primarily. Gamma's bigger, so Death Egg Robot can't miss, but Death Egg Robot isn't exactly that mobile, so Gamma can't miss. So they'd end up just beating the ever-loving stuffing out of each other.
This is what all our science and math teachers expected to use their lesson for, trying to figure out which giant robot would beat the other in a fight.
Exactly.
Yep. Absolutely. Whatever gets you to use the math.
Okay, just 2 more questions left.
All right.
So introduced in colors, Obot and Cubot has served as Eggman lackeys for the past decade, with them arguably being Eggman's most iconic and popular robot lackeys since the Super Special Sonic Search and Smash Squad. What do you think it is about the two that have made them such memorable characters?
They're just a good Abbott and Costello type of thing. You have the straight man in Orbot, and you have the goofy one in Qbot, whether it's the variable voices or just being the dunderhead. And they play off each other well. And they've got enough of an archetype that you can clearly define who they are, but they aren't such big personalities that they compete with Eggman.
Makes sense. Yeah, they really are great in that regard. And I kind of like the fact that even though they're Eggman robot, they aren't like programmed to hate Sonic and Co. They actually really like them.
I mean, you've almost got a rock and roll moment where they're just programmed to help.
Yeah.
That was one of the fun things, though, with when writing Tales Tube Episode 2 is, Orbot is a very pleasant and approachable fellow, but he's still Eggman loyal. So how does he respond to someone like Tails, who is very much Sonic loyal?
Yeah, they pretty much got that whole, well, I guess not a full frenemy, because I don't think like Tails, neither of them, well, they're enemies, but not even that. They're more like, I don't know, whatever you'd call that.
Kind of adversaries,
yeah.
If Orbot's walking down the street and he sees Sonic is on fire, he's not going to put him out, but he's not going to linger and laugh too long.
Sam and Ralph from Looney Tunes, on the clock, Orbot and Qbot will be helping out Eggman, but if there's no evil scheme if they're on their lunch break, they're pretty chill. They don't mind going out for lunch with Sonic and Tails.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, and finally, let's say somehow Qbot and Orbot are still around during Silver's future. What are those two up to? Relaxing on a beach? Running a coffee shop? Silver's next door neighbors?
They've been trying to rebuild the last Eggman base for the past 200 years out of all the burned rubble, because Eggman's last order was fix this place up, and he hasn't been around to tell them not to stop. So they're doing it.
Hey, even when he's gone, they're still working.
That's right.
And the thing keeps crumbling down because the future is ruined, so they have to keep continuing to build it. And, Orbot's a little salty that they were built with Sisyphus.exe in their programming, but it's a living.
I'm just picturing one moment before his death, they say, "Boss, can we get a break?" And he said, "You can take a break when I'm dead." He died and they're still unable to take a break because of the programming.
Dang it.
On the plus side, however, since he's not here to demean us, we can take it at our own pace.
Yes.
Well, that's about it. I pretty much sent all the questions, minus 2 that I can just send in this priorities. Gotta keep you guys on your toes. Don't want you to have no questions for me.
Well, I mean, given how prolific you are, I'm sure we'll be hearing from you again.
Very soon.
Yep, gonna spend all night coming up with 50 new questions to flood the chat with.
Sounds like a plan.
Hey, I like job security.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Thank you again, PedantiCat, for sponsoring this episode and joining us today.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Anything you want to plug? Anywhere you want to send people after the episode?
Of course. Well, for all you fine listeners, you can find me here on YouTube as PedantiCat, where I make reviews of animated series along with analyzing ships such as the Pacifica, Just Lake, Lumity, and more. You can also find me on DeviantArt, Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram as PedantiCat.
Convenient.
Very cool.
Convenient.
You too can be as handsome and generous as PedantiCat by donating $100 to our Patreon or Ko-fi, or heck, I think you can do it through our YouTube membership, and get a whole episode just to yourself as well. It doesn't have to be Q&A. It could be nigh upon anything. But give those a look over at BumbleKast.com. Kyle, do we have anything to wrap up with?
Nope, that'll do it. Thank you again,
All right, then.
PedantiCat, for joining us, and we look forward to you coming back.
Could definitely come back in February.
Inevitably, you will be here.
I am inevitable.
It's true.
Credit. PedantiCat arrives just the same.
Yes.
Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And we'll see you next time on the BumbleKast. Can be just as handsome as generous and...
You're all stumbling over our words.
It's almost like we've been doing this for 2 hours.
Yeah. I'm fine. I don't know what's wrong with you guys. You've been listening to the BumbleKast, a co-production of Bumble King Comics and the KNGI Network. Original theme music composed by Ken Coda Snyder. Remixed intro by T-Lopes. Find out more information, along with podcast feeder links, MP3 downloads, and more at bumbleking.com and kngi.org. Yes. Now I get to sit back and just listen for a while, like for the most part, I think.
No, I got a few questions you can answer as well, Kyle.
Oh man. Okay.